everyone, welcome to Christy Dawn's Cooking, and today I'm so excited to share with you one of the most delicious turkeys you will ever have, and it's Alton Brown's roast turkey from Food Network. I've been making it for several years. You're going to absolutely love it. With a homemade giblet gravy. Delicious. So I'm excited that you're here, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. So this year I got a smaller bird. It's only 7 of us. So this is 12 pounds. In the years past, when I've had a bigger crowd, I've gone up to about 22. But how I thaw it out is the day before I want to brine it, I put it in the sink with cool water, and I flip it several times during the day just to make sure that it's getting a nice, easy thaw. And I change the water. I think I changed the water about 3 times. Just let it out and put some more cool water in it. And right now, it actually feels great. It feels like, yep, I think it's completely thawed. So I'm going to start working on the brine, and I show you how I do that. While the turkey is continuing to thaw, we're going to go ahead and start making the brine. And for the brine, we need kosher salt, light brown sugar, some vegetable stock, and I'm using a new product this year. So if it works out, I'll link it below. It saved me a ton of money. Some whole peppercorns, black peppercorns, some allspice berries, and some candied ginger. So I'll be right back. For the brine, I went ahead and put a gallon of cold water into my stock pot. And you want to make sure that you always use cold water when you're cooking, unless it specifically calls for, hot water or such, because it's my understanding that in the pipes, in the hot water lines, sometimes it can contain minerals and such that aren't good. So we're going to bring this up to a boil anyway, so you may as well just go ahead and start with cold water. So 1 gallon of cold water. We're going to do a cup of salt. Now remember, this is a brine, so we need this to be salty. So a cup of salt, okay. A half cup of light brown sugar. Okay, I want to make a mess, make a splash everywhere. We need 1 tablespoon of whole peppercorns. We need 1½ teaspoons of allspice berries. Let's have a couple more. I'm just going to throw those in there. All right. And 1½ teaspoons of chopped candied ginger. That looks good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and put this over a medium-high heat, and we're going to stir it to get everything to dissolve, get the sugar to dissolve and the salt to dissolve. Oh, I almost forgot. Got the vegetable base. So, what I have done this year, I actually bought some vegetable base from Amazon. I'm going to link it down below if this works out. I hope that it will. This, you just use per gallon of water. You're going to use 4 tablespoons. So it's 1 tablespoon for every quart of water. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This was a fraction of the cost to buy vegetable stock. Buying vegetable stock was about almost $4 for a quart. So for $16 of vegetable stock, I actually paid $9 for this. I do believe $9 and some change. And this will make 5 recipes. So we're going to try it. Rinse it off. Okay, now like I said, We're going to go ahead and bring this to a boil, make sure everything's dissolved, and then I will be back. I've had the brine on the stovetop for about, maybe about 10 minutes, and everything has dissolved beautifully. You can see like the candied ginger has rehydrated. It smells so good. So basically that's all we need to do for this. We're going to go ahead and shut it off, take it off the heat, and we're going to let this come to room temperature. And then I'll bring you back to show you what we do next. While the brine is cooling down, it's probably a great time to go ahead and get your turkey ready. So what I do is so you guys can see that. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut the netting off. Go ahead and cut some of the plastic up here where it's tied together. Just gonna cut down the back. Okay. Pretty bird. Okay, so inside here, you're going to find the neck. You want to keep this. Keep the neck. I'm going to put the neck and all the other parts that they send into a pan. Then in the front here is the little bag with all the different parts. So we keep that. Like I said, keep these, and I'm going to show you how to make delicious gravy out of these. Make sure everything's out. All right, now I'm going to give him a really good rinse. And before I started, I went ahead and I cleaned out my sink very, very well with soap and hot water and rinsed it really, really well. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the inside. All right. Tom looks good. He's going to be ready for the brine soon. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put him in some kind of container, probably maybe a aluminum foil pan or something like that. And he's just going to dry off and sit in the refrigerator for a while the brine comes to room temperature. So the brine has cooled to room temperature, and what I have, I like to use these. It's a large brine bag, and I'm going to go ahead and link down below to Amazon where I get these. It just looks like a huge Ziploc bag. Is basically what it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up. Put it in my sink just to protect it. Okay. I'm going to take the turkey that's been sitting in the refrigerator all day. Place the turkey in. Then I'm going to take the cooled brine and pour it on top. Pour everything in. you need a gallon of ice water. So I just filled up the gallon with ice and then just poured water on top of it. Okay. I'm going to get as much air out of this as possible. Make sure that it's sealed. Okay, this looks good. And then what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the cooler on our deck. Just leave it outside. And maybe halfway through, I'm going to go out and flip it just so that the breast gets underneath, because right now the breast is on top. So it's going to stay out there for about 16 hours. And it makes the most unbelievable juicy turkey that you've ever had. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this out in the cooler on the deck, and then I'll be back tomorrow and show you exactly how I roast this. Well, good morning, everybody. It's the next morning, and we've had the turkey out in the cooler here all night. So I asked Matt to give me a help. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So it's been in the cooler. About halfway through the night, we actually came out here and turned it over. So we could make sure that the brine was getting all over the turkey. So we're going to go ahead. I asked Matt to help me. So Matt's going to just take it into the... Doesn't matter, either one. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get started prepping the turkey for roasting. Matt brought that in, and I'm so thrilled that I have big muscular boys to help me with this stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the turkey out of the brine. We're going to give it a good wash. No soap, obviously. I should say a good rinse. Good rinse inside and out. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to pat it dry. And I purchased one of these, disposable, what do they call these? A turkey pan? I think it's called a turkey pan. I think it was like $3 at the grocery store. Usually I would use something that I have here, but I just think this is just so easy. And for $3 at the holidays, I'm going for easy. So I'll show you how I do that. And we're not going to keep the brine. We need to get rid of the brine. Pull the turkey out. And my sinks are very clean. I went ahead and cleaned both of them before I did this. Now I'm going to give him a good rinse with cold water. Get some of the peppercorns are on there. If you guys can see this or not, I'm just going to pull the faucet over. And do the inside. Drain it really well. Inside a cavity. Now this may seem like we're doing a lot of steps here in the beginning, and it's true. With a brine, you do a lot of prep work ahead of time. But the plus side to that is when it's roasting, it's incredibly easy because we do not have to baste it at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this down my drain. And then obviously I'm going to scrub out my sinks really, really well after this, since we're dealing with raw poultry. Now, Alton Brown, in his recipe, he says to use, he recommends using a 5-gallon bucket to put it in, which is great. If you have one, specifically designated for dealing with raw poultry. I just think these brining bags are a piece of cake. So I just use these from now on. So, okay. I will throw this in the trash can. Be right back. I'm going to bring you guys over to the island. Okay, I'm going to show you what, let me get some lights on. That's better. Okay. Bring the turkey over. Sure we have a good shot there. That's good. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is just pat it dry with some paper towels. Get as dry as you can. Got a lot in there at the bottom here. Get some more paper towels. Dry off the top. Get the wings, and we wanted to get it as dry as possible because that way it will make the skin really crispy. So, get all the nooks and crannies. All right. Okay, that looks great. Okay. So now, what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tuck the wings under. I know you've seen this before. Just tuck it under that little flap. That way it keeps it from moving around like that and it can burn. All right, so he is looking great here. So, if y'all can see that. I'm going to pat him down one more time. And then we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, there's a big controversy as to whether to stuff your turkey with stuffing or do you leave it out. I am a big believer in leaving it out. I'll tell you why. By the time that the stuffing inside the bird gets to the adequate temperature so that it's safe to eat, you have dried out the breast. So I'm going to show you what Out and Brown does, and it makes a big difference. We're actually going to do some aromatics. We're going to put some aromatics in here. So I'm going to set this off to the side. Okay. And what we need is one apple, one onion, a cinnamon stick, and a cup of water. That's all that we need. So you want to make sure that you have a microwave safe container because we're actually going to steep these in the microwave. So 1 cup of water into our microwave safe dish. Set that right there. Okay. Oops, sorry. And we need 1 apple. And the apple, we want it sliced. So that we, oh, we don't even have to take out the core. We can leave the core in. So go ahead and slice it in some thick slices. Sorry, Amazon just dropped off some stuff, so the dogs are barking. Okay, leave them in big chunks because we're going to put this into the cavity of the turkey. I'm going to peel the onion just to make sure it's nice and clean. And it says a half of an onion, but this one's small, so I'm going to go ahead and just do the whole thing. Thick slices, because like I said, we're going to put it in the cavity of the turkey. Make it easier for us later when we're stuffing it. and 1 cinnamon stick. I know it sounds crazy. So I'm gonna get that down in the water, get as much of this down in the water as I can. Woo, that onion is strong. I can feel it. So I'm gonna put this in the microwave on high for 5 minutes, and then I will bring you back when it's done. So the onion and the apple and the cinnamon stick and water are in the microwave right now, steeping. So I want to show you what we do to prevent the breast from getting overcooked. So what Alton Brown suggests is that you take a piece of heavy-duty aluminum foil, and you we're going to make sort of like a breastplate for this. I'm going to do it before we put any oil or anything on it. Okay, so that looks good. So I'm going to do is kind of tuck it in on the corners. And we're going to kind of shape it a little bit. Okay. So that looks good. I'm going to do it now while the turkey is not hot, and it's easier to do it. So I'm going to carefully just lift it off, and it's ready to go. Just double check here. See a little bit down here. Okay, perfect. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and just set this aside. Okay. So while the aromatics are finishing, we're going to go ahead, we're going to give him a little rub down with some oil. And this is going to make the turkey skin very, very crisp. Just give him a good massage. All over. Don't worry about the bottom so much because that's going to be in juice. Always make sure the top gets very, very crispy. So we don't have to put salt or pepper or anything on this because of the brine. That salt has penetrated into the meat, and it's going to make the most delicious turkey. So let me go wash up. I'm going to grab the aromatics, and I'll show you how we're going to stuff it. These are hot, so you can see how the smell is amazing. They've all sort of become cooked a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to take, let me see the best angle here so you guys can see this. So now what I'm going to take is some, let me just double check that. Okay, yeah, that looks good. So we're going to take the apples, I'm going to drain those. Apples and the onions, I'm going to go ahead and put it right in the cavity. The cinnamon stick. Try to get everything in there. Okay, what I also need, we need some fresh herbs in here as well. We have some rosemary and sage. So I went ahead and got some rosemary from my mother with the amazing green thumb. I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in there. Ooh, these are hot. And some fresh sage. And you don't want to use a lot. Now, we talked about sage before as one of those really strong herbs, spices and herbs that goes a long way. So he just calls for 6 leaves. So we have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 baby ones. So I'm just going to go ahead and just stick that right in there. Oh, it smells so good already. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lift it up a little bit and see if I can just kind of wiggle the onion and the apple in a little bit deeper in. Tuck the sage in there. All right, and there you go. It is ready for roasting. So the way that we roast this is we're going to start it off on a very high heat. We're going to start it at 500 degrees. Make sure your oven's clean because your smoke detector will tell you if it's not. It's going to go in there for 500 degrees for 30 minutes, and the whole thing is going to get a beautiful brown. So when that's done, I'm going to show you what we do next. So 500 degrees, 30 minutes. The timer just went off and the turkey has been in the oven for 500 degrees, and I will show you what it looks like. Oh, it looks amazing. Let me turn around this way, you can see into the cavity. Now, obviously, this is not done. We're going to go ahead and turn the oven on to 350 degrees. Now, if you have an instant read thermometer, that is great. I actually have a probe. I will find one on Amazon and link it below. This is incredible. It's a little probe that you insert into anything that you're roasting or barbecuing. We use this all the time on our smoker. And I can set this for what temperature that I want it to be at. When it reaches that, it lets me know. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this into the thickest part of the breast. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Now you can see it has the wire. I think they make wireless ones now. I'll check on that. This one I probably had it for about 25 years. Anyway, remember the little breastplate that we made? I'm going to go ahead and put that on the turkey. And it's going to help prevent the breast from overcooking and drying out. It smells absolutely delicious. I see a little pin feather there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back into the oven, 350 degrees, and it's probably going to take about 2 to 2.5 hours. Like I said, if you don't have one of these, you just want to check when we get close to that time. Just go ahead and put your instant read thermometer in and to check the temperature. And we're looking at the deepest part of the breast being 161 degrees. Obviously, it's going to continue to cook when we take it out, but that way we will get a perfect temperature by the time that we are ready to serve after we rest it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. The timer just went off for the turkey, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it out. It's been about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Oh, it looks so good. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Here we go. Make sure you guys can see this. Shut off the oven. You guys get a good shot of that. Okay, great. Oh, the smell is amazing. So we're going to go ahead and very, very carefully take this off because it's going to be very, very hot. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that away. Oh, it looks so good. Wish y'all could smell this. So I'm going to let this rest now for about 20 minutes. I'm not going to remove the probe because I'm afraid if I do that, the juices are all going to flow out, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some aluminum foil on this. Let it rest for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I'm going to come back and show you how I carve it. So. And after I carve it, I'll show you how I make the gravy. So the turkey has been resting for about 20 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and slide it over here to my carving board. All those yummy juices out. Okay. Oh, looks so good. So the juices are left here in the pan. I'm going to add that to the gravy stock. That's why earlier I had said that I did not, looks so good. I did not want to put any salt into this. So this is going to go back onto the stovetop. All right. So leave that over there. Okay. So you'll pick out a really pretty platter that you want to use. So I have mine here all ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the probe now. It's fine to do that. All right. So what I like to do first is to take off the legs and the thighs, and they just come apart. If it's cooked properly, you can see it just comes right apart. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just pull back on it a little bit. It's going to open up. Kind of wiggle my knife in there, and it comes right off, the thigh and the leg. I'm going to do it on this side, just cut down. See if you guys can see that. I'm going to cut down, pull it apart a little bit. It just comes right off. Just get your knife in there and wiggle it around. Like I said, if it's cooked properly, it's going to come right off. Ooh. Actually, this is really good. I'm going to go ahead and just cut the leg off for now. And get your, when you pull it apart, it wants to go ahead and separate where it's supposed to anyway. This is falling apart. It's so good. Okay, so there's one leg. So just pull it apart gently. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, it just comes right apart. And the second leg. Okay. Go and get this other thigh off. There, it came right off. And what I like to do is kind of take the meat off the bones. Let's see if you guys can see this better over here. So I'll do the thighs next. Go ahead, just falling right off. That's actually my favorite. I like the thigh meat. That's my favorite. So there's one hunk of thigh meat. The dogs are outside. They can smell this. They're scratching at the door if y'all hear that sound. Piece of the gristle. Let me get that off. Oh, there's the second. Can y'all hear that? It's the dogs. Oh, so good. And I try and keep it on the platter. I keep it separate from the dark meat and the light meat. This is cooked beautifully. It's just so 161 degrees. Let it rest for 20 minutes. Your perfect turkey every time. Remember, that's in the thickest part of the breast meat. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead now for the wings. I'm just gonna pull it apart. Pop right off. Just get your knife in there and just kind of wiggle a little bit. Pops right off. Go ahead and put that on. There's one. I'm gonna take off this flap. There's the other one. So like a big buffalo wing. All right. And then the other one. It just comes right off. There's a little bit of breast meat with that one, but that's okay. Now, just cut some of this off here. Make it look a little bit nicer. You know what? I'll save that. Okay, now, for the breast. So basically all you have left now are the breast and the backbone. So for the breast, what I like to do is to go cut down. You're going to find the breastbone in here. You're going to cut down. Just kind of let the bones guide your knife. You're going to pull it away a little bit. Keep going down. Then I'm going to cut down here at the bottom. Do a slice down here. And I want to get this whole thing off in one big piece. Just like that. Woo! That is still very hot. See, like that. Then I'm going to do the other side. Slice down below. And now down. Bring as much of that breast off as we can in one big piece. Okay, I'm going to probably carve some more off of there. But for now, I'm going to lay that for the side. Here's some of the onion and apple from the inside. Okay. So now, what I like to do is once you have the whole breast, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do slices straight across. That way everyone can get a piece of the skin. Unlike, you know, when you carve it off the bird, most of the times you don't get any skin. And we all think that's the best part. And I think it looks really pretty on the platter too. I'll show you the platter when we're done. Okay. Very carefully pick it up and place it on my platter. Do the other one. There's definitely get some more breast meat off of that. I do a very good job taking the whole breast off. Okay, and then this one comes over. Let me see if I can get a little bit more breast meat off of here. Oh yeah. Go ahead and just this is so juicy. Oh my golly. All right, there's not a whole lot left on here. So I think we did pretty well. But I am going to use this carcass. I'm going to use this turkey carcass to make soup next week. So it's okay if there's some more, a little bit more meat on there, because it will definitely not go to waste. So yep, I'm starting to hit some of the bones down here. So I know I did pretty well. So let me wash my hands real quick and I'll show you the final platter. Oh, I think that looks amazing. What do you all think? Absolutely delicious. So, as you saw, there were a few more steps in the beginning with the brining to set that all up and to get the turkey brining. But in the end, it was so much easier because we didn't have to baste it during the cooking time. And it is so juicy. It tastes amazing. I hope you give this a try. Alton Brown's roast turkey is phenomenal. Anyway, I'm going to now work on the gravy and show you how I do that. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. So while the turkey is in the oven roasting, I'm going to go ahead and start on the gravy. So inside, I rinsed off and I trimmed the giblets. So there is the heart, piece of the liver, and a gizzard, along with the neck. The neck actually was my maternal grandfather's favorite part of the turkey. He loved the neck. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put some water on this. I'm gonna start bringing this up. I'm gonna bring it up to a boil. Then when it's done, I'm just gonna put it on simmer and it's gonna go for hours. And I'm gonna keep checking it to make sure there's enough water. Keep adding water because what we wanna do is make a really good, rich stock. So I'll be right back. So now it's time to make the gravy. So what I have done is I went ahead and let these simmer for a few hours today. I refrigerated them last night when I showed you how we cleaned everything and we put it onto simmer. So I'm going to go ahead and just get these little pieces out. These are the giblets. The dogs can smell it. So I'm going to pour this into a glass container, actually a mixing bowl. I'm going to strain it, put it through a strainer. That way you can catch anything that we don't want to be in there. So let me go ahead. This way. It's a little awkward. I think I can do it. This is so good. Okay. So there we go. So I'm going to let this sit here for a while. I'm going to let the fat rise to the top. So while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and pick the meat off of the neck and the gizzard and the heart. Go ahead and, like I said, this is giblet gravy, so we're going to be using these. So I'm going to be working on that. My grandfather, his favorite part of the turkey was the neck. My Aunt Dawn would always save it for him. And he would love it. He would sit there and pick the meat off of this. A lot of people don't do this. This is the way my mother always did it. We always had giblet gravy. We used every part of the bird up. Waste not, want not. You don't have to do this. You can just go ahead and just, do without. If you don't care for this. I think it's delicious. And the meat just comes right off the neck. Falls right off. The dogs can smell it. Careful with the neck. There's lots of little bones in there. Just right apart. There's lots of meat there. God, goodness, probably about a good cup's worth. Okay, I think that's good. Piece of liver. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not feeling any bones. I don't feel anything, so that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to the broth, or to the stock, I should say. It's going to go into the gravy. So you don't have to do this if you don't. Organ meats and all that just aren't your thing. Perfectly fine. Leave them out. Okay, so I will be back when the turkey is coming out of the oven. That should be any second now. For the gravy, I took the stock that we had made with the giblets that we had pulled apart. You saw me do that. And I also added the drippings from the turkey that they were in. So now these are all mixed in well. And I went ahead and took a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I'm going to add some water to it, mix it up, and then we're going to add it into there. Some cold water into my, and I don't know, I maybe put about a 1/2 cup into the 1/4 cup. So I'm going to go ahead and just mix it around. Probably going to need more. Mix that up really, really well. This is just how I've done gravy for years. That's how my grandmother taught me. So we're going to pour it in. I'm just going to put that up. Put a little bit of the broth in there to get the cornstarch off. Okay, I'm going to start stirring. When it comes up to a boil, that sort of tells us the thickness. But I can already tell I'm going to need more. Once again, this is one of those things you just have to play with, because you don't know how much broth is in there. You don't know. Yes, I'm definitely going to need more. Now, I did not add any salt to this, because remember that the broth that came out of the drippings that came off the turkey is going to be full of salt. So I don't want to make this even saltier. Let me do some more. So again, I did a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, about 1/2 cup of water. Just make sure it's all dissolved. And pour it in. I just always found this was easier than doing flour. It's looking good. It's already looking thicker. Okay, this is looking good. I'm going to bring it up to a boil. We're going to see what the final consistency is like. Might have to add a little bit more. That's okay. We'll just play with it. All right, I'm going to bring it up to boil, and I'll bring you back when it's all done. All right, so I went ahead and let it come to a boil. And it came to its max with thickness. It looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to go ahead and taste it and see if we need to add anything. Try not to burn my mouth. That's good. I do think it needs a little bit of salt though. So I'm gonna grab my salt. Add maybe about a half a teaspoon. And I am going to add some pepper. We do like pepper in our gravy. So, and mix it up again. Cornstarch has just been very easy for me. I've never had lumps before. Never gotten lumps. Like I said, I always do cold water with cornstarch and add it to hot boiling liquid, and it never had problem lumps. Let me get a clean spoon to taste it. Much better. Perfect. So, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. I'm going to put it in one of my pitchers for, I always, warm up a pitcher. There you have it. Alton Brown's roast turkey with a brine and homemade gravy using the drippings from the turkey. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to try and sneak a piece in here without anybody noticing. There, I don't think anyone's going to notice those are missing. All right, and then the gravy over top. Yum, 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 yum. So here you go. I know you can do this. I know it's intimidating to try and do a turkey, but you saw how easy it was. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Take good care. Try it. It's good.